Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. And since I broke my last thing into a couple parts, I might as well just do multiple part series. So as I dive into the gaming realm, I'm going to be doing the Gamer's Adventure Log, where I go through the game, not necessarily a let's play where I'm streaming it, but just talking about the nostalgia and the feelings and the things that stood up for me, and just my honest thoughts on the game. So now I'm going to be starting off with one of the most controversial titles of a very, really well-known franchise, which came out when I was a kid, and I didn't know what all the hubbub was about because I just bought the game when I got the GameCube, but now it's HD on the Wii U that I had to dust off that no one really uses much anymore. But we're going to kick off the very first episode of the Gamer Diaries with a controversial classic, The Wind Waker, and this is part one. I'm going to be going through this whole game, so let's get down to it. Alright, so obviously we start off with an intro that describes the backstory on how the world came to be as it is, because this is very different than any other Zelda world, and I could see the first criticism this game had, where it was very plain almost, because you're going across a great sea. It was a very bold move. For the first time, Hyrule was not the setting. Besides, I think Majora's Mask and I guess you could say the Windfish. Those were the two games that I remember playing that didn't really take place in Hyrule, but the fact that they actually did like a post-apocalyptic world in the world that came after, that just kind of rang cool to me. It was a good idea. Was it put into practice the perfect way? Not necessarily. I think it was really perfected in Skyward Sword because you actually got to go into the place that was forgotten about. Here you really only have three sequences, but let's get going. Obviously they have Link, and, he's sleeping like most other games where he's just trying to take a snooze. But here's the thing, for a guy who saves the world as often as he does, I think he deserves to take a nap, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like the people who are waking him up are just plain rude. Like, I stopped getting excited after my 22nd birthday about my birthday. Now it's just another day. But if you're like, 12 years old is he in this game, and you're not excited about your birthday or making it all about you, you're built different. In fact, this birthday, he's actually going to be making it about everyone but himself. But let's go down and go see Grandma, the one parental figure that has raised Link. We didn't really... This is actually a first time where he has like a parental figure, except for I think the first Legend of Zelda game, was it? I believe. I'm not too sure. There's a lot of them that I really haven't played just because I really wasn't, intrigued and enticed by the 8-bit stuff. I was kind of shallow when it comes to the graphics. Now, a lot of people in the comments are going to be saying, hey, you're playing the Wind Waker, so what do you care about graphics? You know the standard. I just probably would have never played the NES when it first came out if I was alive back then. But obviously, Grandma gives us some clothes, the hero's clothes. Now, this is an interesting gift. Obviously, it's like a ceremonial thing, but can you imagine having to wear this on your birthday? Okay, now I'm starting to look back and see why Link was like, he's not so excited about today. Maybe he's not the only person on the island who's had to wear that thing. I don't know. I didn't see too much detail about that, but if it's tradition, I'm pretty sure he's not the only one. But I think it makes sense to go back and go see your little sister. Your sibling, right? I'm actually surprised that she gives him a telescope for his birthday. My sibling didn't give me much, really. This gets me thinking about sibling rivalry and how widespread it is today. But then once you see these guys go, you could realize it's fiction, because I don't think I've ever seen a brother and sister get along that well. If you do, appreciate your blessings, kids. But you look up with the telescope, and what do you get? You get the bird. I forget what his name is called. They never really give a title in the games, but it's in the guidebook. So I'm just going to call him right now the bird. I know it's the Halmorak King or something like that, but I need the paper in front of me. And it has kidnapped a pirate. Now, applying real-life logic to game logic. So there's a bird that's going around kidnapping children and bringing them to a pirate's fortress, and they're not even going to, give these kids the means to bathe and get whatever, bugs they get from that bird off of them. They must have a really, bad, bird flu, going around. Maybe they just throw salt water on them. I don't know if that actually really does it. It's not like tea tree oil soap that we have in modern days. I just kind of realized just how many, sanitization and hygiene stuff we have modern day, thinking about that. we don't have giant birds coming out of the sky and sweeping us up, but I think that that's good that we got to have our cake and eat it too in that realm. But we definitely go to find a sword, and we go to the old guy in the thing. And this guy has old man strength because every time I chose to, attack him and I messed up the attack, dude, he realized, like, you ever go to a martial arts class and you go with the sensei and they're just letting you work? But then you go a little too hard, and then they step across from you and say, hey, man, I could turn this up to 100 really fast. I'm just going 1%, right? That's kind of how I felt going with this guy. But what do you know? He helps out and gives the sword over, and we're off to go save the day for the first time. We actually thought, like, this is the thing, is I don't think Link knew exactly what he was getting himself into by, accepting this good deed. Like they say, no good deed goes unpunished, because what happens after you go into the forest and fight the moblins and the bokoblins and all that stuff? Yeah, your sister's the next one to get swooped up. And, obviously the fact that if you know how the story goes, she looks a little bit like would-be Princess Zelda. But yeah, like I said, no good deed goes unpunished. And then it's off to go tell grandmother the bad news. But you know what? This birthday is about everyone but me, because I'm going to be going away from the island now. It's basically the morning, and I'm already on my way over to the Forsaken Fortress that no one wants to go to. Like, can you imagine spending your birthday like this, like going to the one spot in this post-apocalyptic world that, like, no one wants to go to? But we get a shield, and just as a kind of like a template in all Legend of Zelda games, these are the first two items you get: sword and shield. It's the basics that we got to start out with. You got to start off from square one, and the square one of Zelda games is sword and shield. But a birthday gift, I get to go on a pirate ship for the first time, so I guess it's a little bittersweet. At least you get a cool adventure. And actually, there's a lot of times I'm playing this game and I say, okay, well, at least there's some silver lining to this cloud. And if you got to bounce around with some pirates and they're not trying to rob you, if you understand how real-life pirates operated, that was actually a very rare occurrence. So maybe Link's birthday gift is actually more bright than he thinks. Sorry, man. I'm trying to, help you see the good in this. But I do got to go down to the basement, and I do get to make a friend. And the first time this pirate meets me, he straight up gives me a bag. Now, imagine this, a pirate giving you a bag. Now, of course, you have to work for it. But like I said, if you understand old-time pirates and the actual history of pirates, they don't give you a bag. They make you do the work, and then they take your bag. Yeah, no, these are some pretty solid pirates. Link literally lucked out. Not only did they allow him and hitch him a ride, most pirates wouldn't even have the decency to do that. They literally give him a bag that's going to help him on his journey so he collects butterfly pennants and stuff like that. But then I think they're dipping more into the realistic kind of scenario and just doing mean things. And it turns out they're going to launch him in there because they don't know how to sneak in with a big ship. And honestly, comedically timed, this has a lot of logic holes, right? Because, Link just realized he's in a barrel on a thing. Like, they never showed him walking up to it or putting him in or him questioning. It just flashes and he realizes, like, did they sedate him? Did they put him to sleep somehow? And then he woke up. I really don't know how they just went from there to there. I get it was supposed to be comedy based, but it's humor with a lot of holes in the logic. But it is a game. We got giant birds, right, that are kidnapping people. So I think if you want to say, hey, he could make it from a pirate floor to a barrel and then get launched, I guess we're still consistent. But because of fading attention spans, I do want to leave this off to episode 1. Thank you guys very much for watching. Episode 2 is coming at you, and I will see you guys then. And we will continue on the Forsaken Fortress.